I think this is one of the reasons people become very, very protective of their air plants, because they're part of their life, and they're like pets in many ways, aren't they? People grow very attached to them. I mean, you must have met many collectors. You talked about a couple of them already. What are the things that, I mean, collectors I think can become quite obsessive about? I mean, what do they want to collect all of the different varieties, or what is it that collectors want? The really serious collectors.
It's a great question, and there are different collectors. Some people collect the miniatures, which is the subgenus Diaphoranthema, which is the most, in some ways, the most successful of all the genera. I mean, they're like Spanish moss is one of these. A lot of the little tiny guys that could be 1 or 2 centimeters, they're ubiquitous all over Latin America because they can grow in small areas. They can catch on to some little thing and they can grow. So they're very, very successful that way. They're also cleistogamous, which means that they're self-pollinating. They have little tiny flowers, and a lot of times they don't even open. So they pollinate themselves, which the other Tillandsias cannot do. You have to go from one plant to another plant in the same subgenus to effect pollination. But with the subgenus Diaphoranthema, they pollinate themselves, have tons and tons of seeds, maybe not a lot of genetic variety, but they just have a lot of seeds. They blow around, they catch on things, and they start to grow. So there are people who collect those. There are people who collect the fragrant blooming species, Pteridrisa, the subgenus there. And some of these have fragrant flowers, and they're pollinated by moths and butterflies, because moths and butterflies are attracted to scent. Most of the Tillandsias have brightly colored flowers because they're pollinated in nature by hummingbirds, and hummingbirds are attracted to color. So people collect the fragrant blooming ones because the scents are terrific. You have Dorati, you've got Crocata, you've got Streptocarpa, you've got Kurthorsti, you've got Xiphoides. There's a bunch of different ones that have beautiful fragrant blooms. And
really beautiful plants. Yeah.
And there's people that collect like the forms of Ionantha. You know, there's maybe a dozen or more different kinds of Ionantha. We call those cultivars. You have, in a given described species, you have what's called the type, and that's the species. Then you get plants that are the same species, but they're consistently different in the way they look. And so people will put a cultivar name on those. And so Ionantha has a whole bunch of different forms. Some of the other species do as well, so people will collect those. So, you know, it runs the gamut. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that people can collect it. And then some people just want every single one.
Yeah. Well, I think that's quite difficult unless you have nurseries. And even then.
In Southern California, we grow them, you know, they're easy to grow outside here.
Yeah.
And there people have 300 or 400 different kinds.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Incredible. So one of the things one of the things that people ask me is what's the best way to get more? And I usually say, well, buy them or get offsets. But people also want to know, can they be grown from seed? And I think this takes a long, long time, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And they can be grown from seeds, and we do grow them from seeds. But, you know, where we are, you're looking at 6 to 25 years. You know, if you want to grow the zeros or these big guys, 20, 25 years, even 30, you know.
I think most people don't have that much patience. I mean,
I won't be here, so I don't have to worry about it.
Do you think that Tillandsia growers need to be the most patient gardeners? I mean, it's not like growing zinnias or something, is it, when you know they're going to pop up everywhere?
Well, yes and no. The emotional answer, of course, is yes. But truly, watching them grow from zero to full size over the years is really fun. I mean, because they're always amazing looking anyway. And you go on this adventure together that lasts for a number of years. And it's just fun because they do grow. I mean, they actually do grow. So they do get bigger, and it's fun. And then you've got, after 10 years goes by or something, you know, you turn around and your life's a little different. And this guy that you've had for 10 years has those memories of those 10 years that you shared. I mean, you don't sit there and talk to it, obviously, but maybe some people do. But just the fact that you've had it for that long with so much that you had back then, you don't have anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so I just look at it as a process.
So
You know?
when we were talking before doing this interview, you said that to me that you thought that over time you think air plants, Tillandsias, will become one of the most popular house plants in time. Do you think that will happen?
I do. Yeah. I mean, especially when you take a look at the some of the hybrids that we're coming out with, and that other people are as well, because Tillandsias exhibit great hybrid vigor. So if you take two different species, and what's really cool about the Tillies is they can look very, very different, and you cross them, then the offsets, the plants that you grow from those, they can exhibit characteristics toward one parent or a long way toward the other parent, or they can go down the middle and do both. So there's all these different shapes, colors, and sizes, and they get bigger usually than either parent, quite a bit larger than either parent. And sometimes those shapes come together and you just go sit there. I have a picture in my book I can show you. Lucy got it for me, so I can show you a picture if that's okay.
Please do.
But take a look at this. Okay, this is the cover. And if it's too shiny or something, it has a plastic dust jacket.
That's good.
Cover.
Now we can see it. Yeah.
This is the new book. And so right away, here's a picture of this one's called Marvelous Masterpiece.
Wow, look at that. Beautiful blushing red
That's
color.
something.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a solid 30 to 40 centimeters across. This one, I don't have more, but we have other things that look a lot like it.
Incredible. Look at that. I mean, you can see the trichomes and the shape is just beautiful, isn't it?
They're just so amazing. And then this is one that's getting popular everywhere now.
Yeah.
That's called Houston.
Houston.
Anyway,
Yes,
there's a whole bunch of them. Let me show you the Dorati, since I said that was my fave.
Yeah.
This is a picture of a Dorati clump that's about, I don't know, 120 or 30 centimeters tall, but you can see how they flower. It has the most fragrant flowers for the longest period of time of any Tillandsia, which is another
it's
reason.
Beautiful
I really
with all of those flower spikes, isn't it? Yeah.
And then this one, here's one more. This is called, this is Rothii. And this one is one of the parents of Marvelous Masterpiece.
My goodness, look at that.
And that's about, well, let's see, about 120 centimeters.
Wow. Just beautiful. Who wouldn't want that in their garden or their home, right?
Yeah. Well, there's so many. There's so many that are so beautiful. And really cool.
Yeah. And I think one of
getting started.
And I think the ways that you can display them is so many, right? I mean, people can be very, very arty with it, or they can be very natural with it. I mean, I see lots of people using seashells and frames and all sorts of things, pieces of driftwood. I mean, you must have, I've seen some pictures of people in California with trees in their gardens absolutely covered in different Tillandsias. I guess that's very dependent on the climate you live in as to whether you can do that. I mean, what sort of displays have you seen that you've been interested in?
Well, right now we're going into our busiest time of year with Halloween and Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos. It's, I don't know why, but they're just huge. And so we put them on skeletons and skulls and pumpkins and different items. And they're very, very popular. You can put Tillandsias on anything or nothing. Yeah. It all gets down to the light and the water. So it's your imagination to think of, you know, a particular Tillandsia, and they have all these different shapes and sizes that you can use a palette to draw from, if you will, to create things that are really interesting, you know, and then you put them out and your friends come over and say, wow, how'd you do that? But yeah, I mean, it's just the whole world there you can just do, you know, or you can get a glass dish and just set something in there and it's stunningly beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I think lots of us are used to having pots of things around in different places on tables and on the floor and everything else. But being able to put plants hanging from the ceiling and on the walls and around different things really, really adds the natural world into our homes, doesn't it? And it's really quite special, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does, Andrew. And again, that's why these are so great. I mean, you can have these in the house. You could put them in a closet for a month and they'll be okay. You know,
Yeah.
and you can do anything with them. And for quite a period of time, they'll be fine because they're survivors. They've actually had to evolve to grow in environments where other plants can't grow. And we're speaking specifically here of Latin American desert areas. That's where most of these abound, is in those desert areas, not in tropical jungles or, you know, those kinds of places, more in the deserts. The difference between their deserts and say what we have here in Southern California is that our air is much drier. So they can't naturalize here. There, the air is more humid, but they still have to go months of the year with no water.
Yeah.
And just do it, you know. So, and then there's their epiphytes. They don't grow with their roots in any dirt, soil, medium, or anything like that. So they can take advantage of growing on cacti or thorny scrub trees or on cliff sides or in Peru on the sands of the desert along the coast, and they survive.
Yeah.
So if they do that there, they can go a long time in your apartment or house.
I think so. Well, for this book I've been writing, a lot of people have been sharing with me some of their beautiful photographs of their plants in the wild, and yeah, growing with cacti and on rock sides and tree branches overhanging canyons. Power lines, all the bull moss on the power lines. Just incredible the way these things adapt and survive to their environment. Yeah.
And they're still spreading. It's interesting. They're arguably the newest plants on Earth. The bromeliads and the cacti, they're only basically in the Western Hemisphere. And, you know, however long they've been around, 10 million years, whatever it is, but the Tillandsias are still spreading, left to their own devices. You know, if you stay away from habitat destruction and over-collecting things, they're still spreading.
So they're spreading naturally, and I guess they're also spreading because people are propagating them, right? And taking them around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, so well, like in Asia, you know, they don't occur there, but they're getting really fun. And they're naturalizing. They're naturalizing in Hawaii, different places. They're naturalizing. Yeah. And the big reason for that, of course, is that the seeds of these are plumose. Each Tillandsia seed has a fuzzy, cottony attachment on it, like a dandelion. So you have a radial spread at the top, like a helicopter rotor, and then the filaments come down, and the seed is at the bottom like a guy in a parachute. So when the seed pods dehiss, when they open, then the seeds blow around in the wind. They can go hundreds of miles. You know, they can float anywhere. And if they catch on something that's amenable to their growing, they germinate, they grow, and then they've got a new founder location going.
So there you go. Tillandsias are taking over the world, really.
There you go.
Well, I'm a huge fan of air plants and the work that you've been doing, Paul. So thank you very, very much for talking with me today. If people want to learn more about Rainforest Flora, where should they go?
That's it, rainforestflora.com.
Okay, well, there you go. You've got Instagram, you've got the website. We'll put the details down below so that people can find
and then there's Tillandsias is our Facebook page, and a lot of people go to that and they exchange ideas and photos, and we do too. Tillandsia enthusiasts with an S on the end of enthusiasts. But yeah, we have a new website that's getting a lot of rave reviews. Instagram, we're finally getting really going with that, and you know, for people to communicate with each other with the way the world is now, like you're in Hong Kong, I'm here in SoCal, and we can sit here and have this conversation face to face. It's pretty amazing.
Terrific. Well, I was already a Tillandsia enthusiast, but after talking to you, I'm even more enthusiastic and looking forward to all the things that we can discover about growing Tillandsias. So thank you very, very much, Mr. Paul Isley from Rainforest Flora.
Thank you, Andrew. And
thank you.
It was wonderful talking to you. You asked great questions, and I can't wait to see how you put all this together.
Okay, well, we'll put this out soon. So there you go, a masterclass in understanding Tillandsias air plants from Mr. Paul Isley at Rainforest Flora. Thank you very much to everyone who is listening in to this video. If you want to learn more about growing air plants, you can look up my book, Air Plants, A Practical Beginner's Guide to Growing Tillandsias. And you can also download a free chapter of it in a PDF form by going to the website, which is just down here. Please like this video and share it if you want more people to know about air plants. Thank you very much. Bye for now.